Aloha! Woohoo, woohoo, woohoo!
Welcome to
The UnAlteredE experience.
Right, my friends. We're so excited to have you here with us for our very first episode.
That's right. Now, we filmed a bunch, but we hadn't filmed ours yet. So we got to start off with ours, kind of give you the story.
That's right. Give you the intro of how this awesome podcast evolved. Who are we, these crazy people who are presenting this awesome podcast to you? We're not
crazy in love with my wife. That's
I'm crazy in love.
My name is Alexander.
My name is Sarah.
That's my wife.
That's my man.
That's what's up.
Totally. That's what's up.
So, yeah. Why don't we go into how this even came about, this podcast, and why we're doing this? Mm-hmm. And for that, I'll send it over to you, Sarah.
First of all, just for the record, my friends, I don't like it when he calls me Sarah.
Why right immediately off the bat, you're letting him know the ins and outs, okay? So my queen, my love, my dear heart, my dearest.
You need to know the ins and outs. All right, so here's the deal.
They're your friends?
Yes.
Oh, geez, I'm knocking things all over the place. Okay, they're your friends. Maybe someday we'll meet and I can introduce myself and you can introduce yourself and, we'll become acquaintances at that point in time and then we can move on from there. But friends?
Yeah, but do you want to know what a relationship consists of? My personal thoughts about the person that I'm having a relationship with, nothing to do with the other person. Did you know that? That's how you can have relationships with people who've passed on, people that you've never known, people that because my thoughts and my feelings about you are awesome and amazing.
I apologize. There's a little bit of insanity going on right here. But let me tell you, I have an infinite amount of love for my family and friends. It's weird because it's literally almost stops right there, like at a hard line. And then from there, if some kid's getting hurt or something or some poor whatever. But other than that, I don't really know you. So... But I'd like to. That's the thing. I think it's like, really, I guess I would like to know a lot of people. And I would like to help a lot of people.
Mm-hmm. So how'd this podcast start? Like, why are we here in the first place?
Nice. Let her know. Let them know. Oh, this is great. I can't even do anything.
You could take the top off.
No, I can't.
You could.
I can't.
Well, let's just pretend like this didn't just happen.
All right, go ahead.
All right. So about a year ago, Honey.
No, I can't.
You should explain the problem.
All right, there's this, I buy these pens, and the pens mean a lot to me, and this is a very good writing pen, and it's brand new, and it has a little rubber tip on, but, people keep stealing my stuff, and my pens and stuff. Why don't you start? I'm going to come right back. I got to get my...
All right, so here's the deal. About a year ago, my husband's super funny. So about a year ago, I think it's more like a year and a half ago, but my husband said it wasn't that long ago, so maybe it was like a year ago. I'm not for sure. I was really, really pondering all this noise in the background.
Just have it.
Okay, it was real. I think it was just...
Real quick. Safety tip, keeping it fresh, already being used. Come on now, everybody knows. Got to use the one that's being used. You can't just open it because, I want to open it.
See, I would have just opened it. That's just a difference in our personality. So I had this idea. Well, first of all, actually, I was really struggling in my business, and I was just like, man, I was doing all this life coaching, and I was learning all kinds of awesome stuff, but I was struggling to grow my business financially. And I just decided when I learned the concept that
Create value.
Just value.
Period. Anyway.
Period.
Money or no money.
Let's not worry about any money. I'm just going to totally focus on value and how can I add value to the world. So this thought, along with other thoughts, which I've been working on, but for this particular one was like, you had this inspiration that was like, you need to share everyone's personal essential oil experiences with the world. The world needs to hear their stories. And I was like, yes, of course. That's amazing. So I called my husband. I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to start a podcast. And we've been wanting to start a podcast
It was under a year ago.
But I'm like, we have to start a podcast. And he's like, yeah, of course. I'm like, no. We have to start one sharing other people's personal essential oil experiences. And at first he was like, well, that wasn't really the kind of podcast I was thinking that we were going to start.
Well, you know what? Let me tell you, actually, I was thinking, okay, it's going to be this podcast that's more about natural healing and stuff like that. And what's funny is it's turned into that, but the hook, or not the hook, but the main catch is like, what are these people's experiences with literally with essential oils? And it's so huge the way these things have impacted us and these other people. And it's amazing. Now, actually, probably we should go over our first,
Well, first. So this is how it got started. So I had that, and then I'm like, okay. And this, you guys, the whole point of this podcast, the reason you're on here, the reason you're listening is because you want to hear real live stories that happen to real humans from the person that it happened to you. Because a lot of times, the only times you hear those stories are in classes, right? And a lot of times the first time a lot of us got introduced to essential oils was in an essential oil class. And so we got to hear the story of the person who was teaching the class, and then maybe some other people who were in the room who were already using oils, who share their stories. And then, at leadership, we hear some stories. At convention, we hear some stories.
But few and far between, honestly.
Yeah, but
very
really,
few and far between.
And then what you hear a lot of is, well, my friend said that she said that this worked for her like this. I feel like I hear mostly those things. I'm always like, I want to hear what really happened with that person. So here's just such an amazing way for all of us to hear all the awesome stories that are being told in all of these awesome classes all around the world.
Not just classes. It's not a lot. Most of these, I don't think you're going to share it in classes.
Well, if someone teaches a class, they share their story. So yes,
so most of them aren't even in classes. You're going to get and actually what is pretty interesting, I think, is what comes out is even deeper than the classes. Even closer to home than the classes, and some things that aren't quite nuanced in the classes.
Well, and so do you see right here? There's almost a little bit of a, I don't know why. I don't know what's happening here.
Because she thinks she's right.
What's happening? So that's just our relationship.
Whatever.
But the truth
is. So yeah,
is,
it's cool. Hey, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us. Share.
So you're getting personal experiences from the people straight to you. You get to hear from their mouth what works for them. And guys, we're not making any claims. That's the other awesome thing is we're not saying, oh, this essential oil does this does that. We're not saying that. We're saying, holy smokes, you guys, this is this person's real story. This is what they did. This is how they used the oils. This is in the order that they used the oils, where they applied them.
And this is what worked for them.
Other things that they did, right? So nutrition, whether they use modern medicine with it, just you get the whole thing. And we want the good, the bad, all of it. We want to know if you tried an oil and it didn't work. We want to know if you had a reaction. We want to know all of it because the truth is, my mom cannot use frankincense. It's so crazy to me still. When she uses frankincense, she literally breaks out in these gnarly hives that are blisters that hurt. Wherever she'll get them on her neck. She's got them all down her back before, and then they last for 2 weeks. And they're large blistery things. It's terrible. So she's realized frankincense, for sure she can't put it on. Now, I'm sure if she was to play with it, maybe it would have to be super diluted, right? 1 drop of frankincense to an entire 15 ml or 10 ml roller bottle, maybe, but I don't even know. So what I do know is that she got super scared and was oh, no, it doesn't mean she doesn't use the oils. She uses all the other oils. She just stays away from frankincense. So that's something that we would want to be shared here because maybe someone watches that podcast and is oh my gosh, I had that same experience and this is what I've done to solve it. And then they can call in and share that. And then here we are, we help this other person. And then hold on really quick. She didn't just throw her hands in the air and say, that's it. Oils are poisonous. They're terrible. I cannot use oils. Look at this terrible thing. I'm never going to use an oil again in my life. No, she didn't do that at all. She's oh, okay. So I have a reaction to frankincense. Weird. I'm not for sure why, but I get to use all of the other. Oh my gosh, you guys hear my throat? I don't know what's happening. But she gets to use all the other oils and she still does. So I just think it's so important for people to share those vulnerable stories.
So
because
to recap,
we don't want anyone to feel just because they had a negative experience, that just totally means all essential oils are terrible.
But by the way, that's the most you'll ever hear her talk on any of the podcasts right there. That was that was the most you've ever talked on the podcast. Probably as much as she just spoke was as much as she spoke on 20 podcasts.
Oh, yeah. But usually because it's someone else is on here sharing their story, we listen and chime in. But
the main thing is we're not making any claims. That's the key. We're just sharing people's experiences, sharing our experiences.
Totally.
And that's what's up.
Who am I, Sarah Oxendine? This is my awesome husband. So here we are. We have been married for 12 years. We have 5 awesome children, aging from the ranges. Raging. Wait. No, I'm totally.
I'll let her figure this out.
Honey.
We could be here all day. Raging in ages.
Ages from 18. She just turned 18 last Sunday as our oldest.
And she lets us know.
Like all the time. Hello, I'm 18. If any of you have fresh newbie.
Oh, yeah, you this and that. Oh, I'm 18 now.
Oh, my gosh. We're like, what does that even mean? You're 18. That's right. You can go to jail.
I mean, I would never
if you do
strike
something
children,
terrible.
but that just makes me clench my fist. I'm 18.
We're like, yes, dear. There's still house rules. Anyway, so we have an 18-year-old daughter. We have a 16-and-a-half-year-old son. We have an 11-year-old daughter.
11 and a half.
And we have a 9-year-old daughter.
Oh, almost 10.
Yeah,
oh my
she's
gosh.
almost 10 and just at the end of the month, July
And then
30th.
we got a 3-year-old little homie.
That's right. We started all over and lots of thought went into that. We didn't know if we really wanted to. We were like, I don't know. Do we really want to do diapers all over, running around and chasing? Basically every time I have a baby, and you moms out there, you lose 2 years of your life for sure, because the whole time you're pregnant.
But then it also kicks out that time.
Sick.
It also kicks out that time. We were at, Anave was 6. So we were 12, 13 years away from being free, 14 years away from being free maybe. And then we're like, all right, let's just take that 6 years and just scrap it. So
but,
now we're 15, 16 years away.
Yeah.
Now.
But let me tell you, if any of you are struggling or wondering, man, we love it. It was the best thing ever.
Best thing ever, without a doubt.
Especially when you have such a big gap in ages, because we had 4 children who could carry, hold, change diapers, and feed and babysit.
Slaves. It's amazing.
I mean, not the younger 2, but the older 2. They could help with everything else, but not babysit. So what was amazing was when we had our 4, anytime, he was working or not home and I had to go somewhere, I had to take all 4 with me everywhere. But then all of a sudden, I could leave all 4 at home and just take the baby. I'm like, this is amazing. Right? Or we'd go on dates and just take the baby. It wasn't even a big deal.
Well, I remember when Kayla turned 12.
Oh my gosh.
Then it was on.
It was on.
That was 6 years ago.
I know.
I remember before that, I was like, oh, we have to go everywhere, everyone, everything, everyone.
Yeah.
And then 12, I'm like, oh, she can babysit. And I was like, I don't know. This was in Santa Cruz. I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, trust me, it's going to be fine. Totally fine. All good. They almost, one time I had a security system, and one time some guy knocked on the door.
No, wait a minute. Go back just a little bit. You guys, this is just a little story real quick. It was the very first time my husband ever had left the kids home alone.
Oh my gosh.
Ever. Nor I would, sometimes it was going to be short.
And I wouldn't even.
And this is when they were what? They weren't even 12 yet. They were, maybe they were 11.
They were close. It was all close.
But we just didn't really leave them home a lot.
No need.
But I would occasionally, if I'm like, okay, I just got to go to the grocery store just down the street, they can call me. I can be back in a minute.
And then we'd fight for a long time because I'm like,
why'd
you put them in danger?
So the very first time he ever leaves them, and he was taking the youngest 2 girls to a birthday party. So just the older 2 were home. I mean, they were 11 and 10. That is technically totally fine.
Did I really just take the girls? I don't think so.
Yes, it was a birthday party. Remember? It's when you met the ladies for the first time when we first moved to Santa Cruz.
Nope, I don't think so.
Yeah,
But
we
anyway.
had boxes outside, which is why the guy came up to look for stuff.
Nope, I don't think so.
It
But
totally
anyway,
was.
nonetheless.
It's in my journal. I'll look it up.
Nonetheless, they were home alone. I came back in 10 minutes, and they're like, Dad. They had the kitchen knives and a machete, and they were waiting around the door.
Minutes,
I saw the guy. It was not 45 minutes, 100%. So you're mistaken.
We'll bring the kids in.
Just so you know, it's okay. But her memory, she's got issues with her memory, and this is a real thing.
It's true, I do.
And so it wasn't 45 minutes. It was literally 12 minutes. That's why I was so surprised I didn't see him, because I drove around to try and run him over, and I didn't see him. But I checked it on the security camera. He came up. It was kind of, looking in through we had a glass, French door or something like that. Anyway, yeah, so it was kind of sketchy.
And the kids had their machetes, and they were hiding behind the door because
yeah.
they were gonna
they're ready to
slice
shank them.
Dice.
It's my kids. It's my kids.
We didn't have gnarly dogs yet. Oh no, we didn't. So
Did we have any dogs yet? Oh, we didn't even have a dog yet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Guys, dogs are important. Anyway, so that's that little backstory. But here we go. So we have these awesome kids, super awesome and amazing. My husband and I met in Hawaii. He is We're doing our backstory. Did you misunderstand?
Okay, why don't we take it from like you were raised this way, I was raised this way, and then we met this way. Like
as you can tell, we went over this like 2 days ago when we're filming
no,
today. So.
and she switches it up.
Can you read the paper? It's
Just
right there.
go.
We have a
Just
paper
go.
right here.
So I was born. I'm 48 years old. I was born at Stanford Hospital in Stanford, California. Raised in Los Altos. Totally like. Mom and dad cooked. My dad barbecued. My mom used to buy like cows, like chopped up cows and all the meat and put it in the freezer. They gave us a freezer, so we had a full-on stand-up freezer. I remember just opening that thing and seeing all the butcher paper stuff, and I was just thinking,
so
dude,
awesome.
Whatever. Every week, multiple times a week, my dad would barbecue. We had this game room / indoor barbecue in the back. I didn't appreciate enough. It had these gnarly Italian slate floors and stuff. It was actually gnarly. The top was all windows and stuff. And so he'd barbecue all the time. My mom would cook all the time, so it was all home cooking. A treat for us would be like, which was a never, in Christmas time we'd get like little, the coupons or the gift certificates for McDonald's. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because we would never go to eat McDonald's. If anything, we'd go out to eat somewhere, but never McDonald's, never fast food. Another treat would be like a TV dinner. That was like a treat. We're like, oh my gosh, these TV dinners. Other than that, it was all just home cooking. So health-wise, they would use aspirin, maybe children's Tylenol. I got vaccinated. Not that we're going to talk about any vaccinations at all whatsoever. But and then I think, I smashed my face when I was a kid, so I had to go to the hospital. I had regular dental appointments, so just regular general, nothing too crazy. If I was sick, she would just take care of me. It's not like, get him to the hospital emergency, so it's pretty straightforward.
And I was raised,
Born.
I was born in Hawaii.
Hawaiian.
Mm-hmm. In Kahuku, actually.
Kahuku. That's on
That's
the Big Island.
That is on the Big Island. I'm actually half Tongan, and my mom is
never
Caucasian.
know.
And I actually grew up never knowing my Tongan family, but my mom married my dad when I was 11 months old, who's also Caucasian, and so
That's white for you.
They got married and had 6 more children, so I was the oldest of 7.
So, but no, here's the funny part. You look at the picture. If there's ever a perfect fit for the black sheep, you look at these pictures and all these white as you can get. And then this little dark girl. And it's like, oh, did you even know?
Didn't even, like, I grew up knowing I was half Tongan, but it wasn't like a big deal. Like, my dad adopted me, so I had the same last name as everybody. I didn't have any relationship with my Tongan side of the family at the time. Now I have, and it's awesome. But growing up, I didn't. And so I think because I was the oldest of 7, my dad never made me feel any different. I am his daughter. He's just loved me and raised me. I mean, I'm his. And my mom, and because I was the oldest, though, it was like
she used to whoop some
one
skulls.
ever said anything. Well, not once, till my youngest brother Sam. I think I was probably 15. And
said,
maybe
get out of
he
here,
was
you
like,
darky.
No, he didn't.
Oh, he didn't say
no
that.
one was ever mean or anything like that ever.
Which is awesome.
And
They're Mormons too,
never,
so
yeah,
super nice. Like, if you ever, whatever you might believe about the Mormons, it's the nicest people. That's it. The nicest people around ever. Giving, caring, serving, the nicest people. So base that as a Mormon thing, okay, and then underwear, this, that, the other thing, different planets, whatever.
Well,
nicest people on earth. So what's better, what they believe or how they act and treat you? Go ahead.
well, thank you, dear. And so, yeah, so I am actually still active practicing member of the Church
Never
of
have,
Jesus
never,
Christ of
never
Latter-day
been.
Saints.
Never
My
will
husband
be.
is not.
Never will be.
So our kids have a really unique perspective, which is awesome for them. But
If I don't get baptized in 2 years, she's going to leave me.
that's totally true. No,
Yeah.
just kidding. It's totally not. But anyway, so I was raised that way, and all my siblings, right, blonde hair, blue eyes, and then there's me, but never felt out of place, never felt different. My grandparents, I think my dad's dad, so my grandpa, he went on a mission to Hawaii, so he really loved the Polynesian people. So I really think
The Polynesian
I think
people.
it was just like super loved, like almost like instead of it being any type of weirdness, it was like an overabundance of love. Like,
It's like one of those
here's
things
this
like, oh my
awesome-
gosh, we got this little brown
this
baby.
beautiful, and
this
it
little
just so
teeny
much
thing.
love.
Let's feel
so much
this
love.
thing.
It was awesome. It was
Yeah.
super awesome.
She was loved.
Super loved. So I grew up with lots and lots of love. We grew up. We didn't have very much money. So my dad was a teacher. And with 7 children and a teacher, my mom stayed at home. Anyone who understands, you would know that it's not a very big salary. But he always worked multiple jobs. What?
So, although we grew up in Los Altos, which is like one of the richer areas in the country or something like that, when I was born, for the first 9 months, I lived in East Palo Alto. Now, if you don't know about East Palo Alto, back in the day, the police, fire, and mail wouldn't go in there. So it was like super gnarly gang. Yeah, so we lived like right at the ghetto, right at the edge there. And for the first 9 months. So actually I was born at this amazing hospital and I went and lived my thug life for the first 9 months.
For the first 9 months.
So that's how I became actually thug.
That's why he's a living gangster, my friends.
Yes, that's exactly why I'm so gangster, in case anyone wondered. Because they're like, wait, you lived in Los Altos, but you don't understand. I got the EPA running through this blood.
He's like, let me tell you when I was...
and what happened was they they got our house for like $36,000. It's worth like $3 million. I mean, it is that. And so we rode the edge. We were in this nice neighborhood. We didn't have a lot of money either. You know, we just...
So my dad was a teacher, oldest of 7 kids. For sure, what my parents had was pride of work. And so I definitely learned a strong work ethic. I learned that, there's no handouts and you work hard and you pay your dues and you give it all you have. I mean, obviously I was raised a member of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. So I was raised that, you pay your tithing and God will help provide. And so that's what we did, those things, and God totally helped provide for our family. And we didn't ever need my parents, they were proud. So they didn't get on, not in a bad way, in self-pride in a good way. So they didn't get on any
7 deadly sins
assistance, even though they totally could have. We didn't have health insurance for I feel like most of my life. And I'm sure we did sometimes, but I just know that there was long periods of time that we'd never go to the doctors, and all of a sudden, for some reason, we would go to the doctors, and it must have been that there was health insurance then. Well, and part of it, my dad was a teacher, struggling for a long, he was going to school. So he was going to school, and then he became a teacher. So probably just during the time that he was going to school, he probably didn't have health care. But after that, so what happens when you don't have health care, my friends, is you just don't go to the doctors because you can't go for free, right? You could get on state insurance, and by all means, whatever anyone wants to do, it's awesome. I've been on that before. But we didn't. And so that meant my mom made everything from scratch. First of all, guys, until I was 12, she made all my clothes. I remember being okay.
So my mom used to make our clothes too,
please not,
to a certain point.
Can I please not have matching outfits with all my siblings that are the same striped thing? And I just remember, you start kind of growing out of that. Can we just go
and they're Mormon, so they were I'm sure Mormon-y. You know what I mean? You ever seen those Quaker type?
It was awesome. She did a really good job. It was awesome, but it was
We're not saying she
cheaper
didn't.
To get material.
I'm just saying she was a little Mormon girl in her little Mormon dress.
Well, and I learned how to sew. That was another thing.
She doesn't even know how to sew nowadays.
That, I can't really now, but I definitely did. I was taught that as a child, and learned how to cook and all of those basic things.
How about your sandwiches for school?
Oh my gosh. So my mom is so awesome. So I learned my health from my mom for sure, because she was all about brown rice and what wheat bread. And she made bread probably twice every single week. And all my friends thought it was the best thing ever, because they'd come to my house and the whole house would smell amazing. Oh. And that's actually what people remember. Oh, I remember your mom and her bread. And we would eat a whole loaf to each ourselves. She would make 6 loaves at a time. It'd be twice a week. And that was the one thing that was so awesome, because we could go home and just cut a hot slice of bread and douse it in butter and honey. Oh. And it was amazing. It was amazing. But at the time, you guys, it was so embarrassing for me as a child. And if my mom ever hears this, I don't know if I must have told her sometime. I never told her when I was a kid, because I wouldn't want to hurt her feelings. But I would be so embarrassed, because I have these gnarly, fat wheat bread sandwiches.
Did they taste good?
They tasted great, but
you everyone else,
I loved it and it was great, but they were because we cut the bread ourselves, they weren't thinner sandwiches.
Plus, if you cut that homemade bread, it would break, right? So you want it to be able to stay together, and
it was. So, anyways, I would like try to trade my sandwiches. I'd be like, man, can we just buy white bread? Can we just eat white rice? Like, what is happening, Mom? Why are you always doing this? But now I'm so grateful because she really instilled, no, this is healthy. White rice isn't healthy for you. White flour isn't healthy, right? And back then, everything needed to be non-fat, right? Because fat was bad.
Oh,
even
my
though now
gosh.
we know that's not true.
Non-fat milk.
But it was like, and we ate low sugar. My mom didn't really, very rarely ever bought any type of candy. Like occasionally she would get like a big bag of gummy bears from Costco. And I remember they'd be in the freezer and I'd like sneak a couple every now and then. But it was not like a thing. And I didn't have a really big sweet tooth, I think, because we didn't really have a lot of sweets. Sure, she would make a dessert on Sunday, but it was not every single day. And so there was just, in my life, I was taught, don't eat too much sugar, make everything you can from scratch, and to be frugal. My mom is by far, she's amazing and wonderful. She is the most practical human I have yet to have ever met anyone else. She's like super practical, which is an awesome skill. And I think it was good for me to kind of see that you can live life in that way. Anyways, so that was how I was raised. So when we didn't go to the doctors very much, we did have Tylenol though, for sure. There was always a thing of Tylenol inside the fridge, just the normal basic stuff, but nothing super gnarly. She wasn't a helicopter mom where she was like rushing us to the doctors all the time. And there were 7 of us, so she was busy.
There weren't helicopter moms back then. Everybody's just like, get out, go.
I mean, I wonder.
Actually, they didn't have that. They didn't have to tell me get out. I just get out and want to be out, and then sometime come home.
Oh my gosh. So, anyways, that's kind of how we were brought up. My husband and I met in Hawaii.
I definitely though, like in high school and stuff, when I started driving, I had no problem, and I had money to go get fast food. In fact, every day in my junior year, oh my gosh, freshman year, every single day, my boys had like cars and stuff, so we'd go out, and every day it was like Taco Bell or Burger King.
Yeah, and I was not ever a fast food person, really, ever. I mean, I played basketball and volleyball in high school, super loved it. It was awesome and amazing. And the only time I would eat out would be if someone else paid for me. Because typically I'd pack lunch, right?
In fact, I don't ever remember packing lunch ever.
Some sort, maybe babysitting money or whatever would be on those trips, right, when you're traveling. But
so basically, yeah, I got jacked. I was just like fast food boy.
Totally, and it's fast food that's still a pull at his heart.
I mean, well, so you're trying to blow me out again.
No, I'm sorry. Nope, didn't mean to.
Does some fast food taste good to my taste buds? Yes. I mean, I don't know if it's that much of a pull.
Well,
if there was some in front of me, would I eat it? Possibly.
But wait, there's memories. I think memories has a part of it, right? You and your dad sometimes. Where do you take you to Jack in the Box? Was that your dad?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a. Sometimes when
I didn't remember it until now,
attached.
so thanks for making me sad.
I'm sorry.
Totally didn't even think of that. But thanks for making me sad.
That's what
nice.
I think about when I think about you and fast food. I think
yeah, but that's not what I think about.
Dad,
That's great.
You.
That's great.
Was it every weekend?
Just trying to make me cry. Yes, okay.
Sorry. Okay.
We're going down the
good memory.
Anyway, so here we are. Now, she's in Hawaii, and I'm in
Hawaii.
No, almost in Hawaii. I had been going through the .com boom back in the late 90s, and training jiu-jitsu since 94, 93. Met these fighters, met BJ, met all these dudes, and just training and working and having fun. And
first of all, I am 38.
And so I'm 48.
I'm 10 years younger.
I'm 10 years her senior. She's 10 years
awesome.
my junior.
You never would even know. We seems like we're the same age.
Well, that's nice. I mean, obviously not wisdom or.
So he was.
So anyway, I ended up moving to Hawaii in like 01 or 02 or something like that. And I went over. I'm like, I'm gonna go film and take people on these adventures, because when you go over there, when you're with the boys, we know all the spots to go jump the waterfalls.
Who were the boys?
Jump bridges. BJ, JD, Reagan,
this is the
Kanan,
Penn family, my friends.
The Royden and Radford, like all the boys. You know what I mean? Cabbage, Saul, all these guys, Ipo, and we'd all just be like, all right, let's go cruise. And we'd go to the river, we'd go to the falls, we'd go to bridges, and we'd launch these. And there's some that you could just go down one, down, and it's just the most amazing experience. I thought I was going to be like this adventure guy that would film adventures and take people on adventures and do this other stuff, and that definitely did not happen.
Did you even try to do that?
No, I didn't even try to do that. I kind of settled into working with the BJ's family business and training, and then we started Rumble on the Rock, and then I was helping promote that. And
that is how we met.
Yeah.
We met.
So now we're getting ready for Rumble on the Rock 1, and Rumble on the Rock is basically at the time it was Pride and UFC, and then, pretty much Rumble on the Rock was like the third, maybe fourth best MMA promotion, but it was just starting then, and so we're like, oh, we need these super hot, beautiful women to be ring card girls.
And I was this like young single mom, right? So at this time, I think I'm 22, maybe 21, 22. I think I was 22 when we met. Maybe I was 22. Did I turn 23? Anyways, a young single mom. I think I had a 1 and a 2-year-old. And I'm at church, actually. And one of the ladies in my ward at church, she used to be Miss America.
Miss America?
Miss Hawaii.
Miss Hawaiian.
Desiree Cruz, super awesome, beautiful woman. And she's in my ward, and she's like, one Sunday after church, I think I was standing in the gym with the 2 little kids, and she's like,
looking hot.
Hey, I've been asked to help look for card girls. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, totally confused, you guys. Just, I'm like, I'm at church, and I'm like, wait, a card girl? And all I'm thinking, I'm like, you're like, what? First of all, I don't just run around wearing regular bikini bottoms. Totally embarrassing. No. And, but it was such an awesome opportunity, you guys, because then I met my husband. And so she's like, here's what you need to do. Well, first of all, she told me, she's like, no, it's not going to be like that. These are local girls. We want to get these local girls. They're going to be wearing flowers on your head and just basically like what you wear at the beach. And I'm like, oh.
That was our 3-year-old son.
And it was like a bikini top and bikini bottoms, but like a little pareo wrapped on the side.
A short little wrap.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I could do that and in some heels. I'm like, all right, I could maybe do that. She's like, okay, so you need to go to the penthouse and meet with Mrs. Shin. And do an interview, basically. So I go.
Hold on. And so I'm like, we know there's Jody and Mrs. Shin, like they're getting this thing ready. And of course I included myself.
Because of course he wants to, help see the card girls.
Check the honeys. And I included myself, so I'm there. And yeah, I remember her and her friend. She had super light hair, though.
I did.
And she was super lean. Like,
you guys.
Maybe too lean.
No, it wasn't too lean. But
yeah, maybe too lean.
Let's just say 60 pounds lighter, 70 pounds. I think it was like 134.
Dude, tripping.
134, 135. Holy smokes. So anyway, so that's how we met, right? And I was, part of it was, I was like struggling with my own stuff. I was single, young, and having all these like emotional issues. And so anyway, so I go there, and it's this beautiful home. And I meet these other beautiful girls, and we're all there for the same reason, meeting each other for the first time, I think. And it was so exciting. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this? And I sit down and meet with her, and Mrs. Shin is just super kind and sweet, and we're able to talk. Anyways, I get the job, and I'm like, this is crazy. First of all, I cannot believe I'm doing this. But it was so nice. And I met Jody Penn, and she was awesome and amazing. I remember seeing him, and I was just thinking like, who's that hottie? I think he didn't have a shirt on. He had some surf shorts on. And
what?
He probably just got back from the water.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, and then I leave, and then we start promoting together. And this is how our relationship started.
And so I would basically help and kind of handle a lot of the ground promotions. I was the matchmaker and also the announcer. So we would go to clubs to kind of, I'd get on the mic and be like, all right, everybody, we have these gifts and prizes, or let's do these contests. And we'd be all in like the Rumble on the Rock shirts and some skirt and a tank top or whatever. And we'd go, and it was like, first of all, it was just like the most peaceful experience every time I was with him. It was just like everything, there was peace in the world. That's what it felt like. It was just us, and we would just talk, and it was super easy. At what point did you want to ravish me 24/7?
Oh my, can you stop it, please?
Well, I'm just saying.
From the very beginning. No,
okay, that's what I thought.
But you guys, everyone, and so here we are now having mutual friends, right? All of them are telling me, listen, Sarah, don't do it. He's a total ladies' man. Don't do it. Like, terrible idea.
Just a
terrible
nice guy.
idea. Like,
Just
just
a nice
super
guy.
warning me. And what were your friends telling you?
Flex, leave her alone. She's too nice. Hold on. Let's back up. We'd go promote, and then we'd dance, and it would just be so comfortable. We'd totally vibed. Totally vibed. Our spirits knew. And so, yeah, everybody was like, Flex, don't even mess with her. Don't do anything. She's like the nicest girl. And I'm just like, well, I'm not doing anything. Like I knew better though too. I did know better.
And again, like, part of it was too, right? Here I was, this super young single mom, you guys. I was like 22, single mom with a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old. Well, I was like living
And I was 32, living it up, high on the hog.
He was like super opposite lives. Like, I was like working, trying to support my kids, and then I was like having all these issues with their
Baby daddy.
Yep. And I was like renting a room downstairs. It was like the downstairs of a house where a family lived upstairs. And the downstairs, there was like 5 men in different rooms. And then me and my 2 kids in this other room. And let me tell you, that was I did that for 3 years. And I lived there, and they were so awesome.
Except the peeping Tom.
They were so awesome with just being super respectful and kind and just helpful. They would always make sure the toilet seat was down. Like, it was really, I feel like for the circumstance, man, it was super awesome.
Whereas I lived with BJ, we would go rage, go different fights, different islands, cruise around all day, just,
And he's training, right? He's training jiu-jitsu.
MMA, jiu-jitsu, the whole thing, stand up.
Kickboxing.
That was like after I left, though. That was like after I left.
Not at the Pens. I was doing kickboxing at a different gym, and then I moved to their
excuse
gym
me.
after he left. So, anyways, so he and I are like super vibing, but like he knew that he didn't want to add anything negative. I think we hung out only twice. I think we kissed twice. That was it. Like, nothing happened.
How was the first kiss? What happened the first kiss?
He asked for permission. It was very sweet. And
But she's like, who does that?
Who asked for permission?
Who asked permission?
How weird.
But I was just ultimately respectful of
He's
her.
very old school.
Even though I could have had what I wanted at any specific
Oh,
time.
brother. Anyway,
But
so
anyway.
there was that. And then we actually met 2 guys at the same time. I started dating somebody else.
We met 2 guys?
Oh, I did. I started dating someone. Oh, no, you left before I started dating anyone else.
So, yeah, I jammed, came to Washington, help out my mom and stuff, then ended up working for Randy Couture, Matt Linlin, running their organization here. And we left, but I would always call her. Like, every once in a while, every few months, I'd be like, oh, Sarah. And call her and be like, hey, how's it going? She'd be like, hey, how's it going?
And
we'd have a good conversation.
yeah. And then I got into a relationship with someone else who was super awesome at the time, and it was great.
Super
And
awesome.
He would
That's
call
great.
me. He called me once, and I was in this relationship. And
No.
I'm like,
When she got in the relationship, then I also called her again. And I'm like, hey, what's up? And she's like, oh, hey.
because I am super loyal, you guys. Like, I'm not.
But I was a friend.
Nothing. It doesn't matter. Like,
Because
there
you wanted me
was-
so bad?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
there had been
it.
a connection there before.
Like no
and
other.
I would never want to
Like no other. Disrespect
be
the current one.
disrespectful or loyal. So I was like just kind of like cold.
So she was very curt, very horrible.
And he was like, "Oh my gosh, how rude!" So then he didn't call me. And anyway, so he
No,
was
hold
like,
on. Let me tell that side
Tell
of the
it.
story. Because she was just being a jerk.
That was-
I'm like, what's up? She's like, hey. I'm like, how you been? She's like, good. I'm like, okay, everything's cool? Yeah. I'm like, all right, well, all right. Take care. Bye. Total jerk. I was like, screw her. That's that. So, and she has her reasons for doing it. Great. And I have my reasons for at least a year
and a
goes
half.
by.
A
Yeah,
year and a half
year and a half could go by. I'm driving back. I had this
and
amazing.
guys, now he's gone, right? He's here.
Oh, I'm in California. I was in California
I'm
the
still
whole
in Hawaii.
time. So I go down to
And I'm actually still involved with like the Penn family and doing the Rumble on the Rock stuff. And I'm like now training at their gym
and I'm still involved with them because it's BJ.
because they're
and-
friends.
Yeah. So I go down to Southern Cal. There's like a big training thing down there with BJ. I didn't film him yet, but I just had a nuts training time with him, hanging out, partying, raging, UFC probably. And then I had this amazing weekend. It was just amazing. And then we left. I left, and I'm driving home, and I remember her telling me about where she grew up in Fraser Park. and that's at the top of the Grapevine. When I was a kid, we used to go to Tijuana and Disneyland like every year. And so I remember the Grapevine. It was stuck in my head, that just the Grapevine, because back in the day, people used to have troubles climbing it because their cars would overheat and stuff like that. So it was kind of a daunting. And so this Grapevine, and she's like, oh, at the top of the Grapevine,
I lived
Fraser
there
Park.
for some time during my.
I'm driving home. It's like, oh, Fraser Park. I'm like, oh my gosh, Fraser Park. That's the only thing I know about that is Sarah. So I'm like, I had such an amazing time. Hey, message. Hey, what's up? It's Alexander. Just wanted to say hi. Hope everything's going great. Yeah, what's going on? I missed talking to you or something really nice. And then I just clicked. And on the Grapevine, there's only a couple areas where you get some signal. Then I lost signal, came down. Probably about 10 to 20 minutes later, I get some signal. That's our dogs, in case you hear them. This is super awesome. In case you hear. And so then I get signal. I see a message. I check it. She's like, oh, my gosh. This is so crazy. I moved from 2 weeks ago. I moved from Hawaii. I moved from Hawaii. I moved to Bremerton, Washington. And what's crazy is I had just moved from Washington, which is Vancouver, down south, back to California. And I had, while I was living in Vancouver, I had bought a KTM Super Motard in Bremerton. So she's like, oh, Bremerton. I'm like, oh, what? So I call her.
Yeah, and you guys. So when I left, first of all,
this is going to be all this. Are we even going to get into any of our oil experiences?
Well, that'll be brief. You guys are getting to know us.
This is actually pretty nuts. Especially this part is so nuts. I love this. I love the whole part, but this is where it gets fun.
So
I think.
I was so
distraught.
Sad. I was like, I never was going to leave Hawaii. Like, I wanted to live there forever. It was like, let me just tell you, the best place to be a single Mormon mom when you're so young for me was there, because there was just so much aloha and there was like so much support and people just loved me anyways. I was going to church trying to get my life together.
So she was sad.
But I left. We'd go to the beach every day and I'd work.
Back
then. And then I left. But it was good. Like, I needed to leave. I had a job opportunity. My uncle offered me this job here in Washington. It was good. Got me out of a situation that wasn't healthy for me or our kids. So I literally get on a plane. I left basically overnight. Didn't really get to say goodbye to anybody. And now I'm in Washington. And it's cold, and I miss the beach, and I miss my friends, and I am living with family, but, my parents aren't there, my siblings aren't there.
And she gets a call from her angel.
I was, like, literally crying every day. Every single night, I'd cry myself to sleep, and I'd get up and I'd go to work, and then I'd come home, pick up my kids, come home, cry myself to sleep, da-da-da. And I get this call from him, and it was like this breath of, like, fresh air. It was so awesome. And I was just like, all I remembered about him was everything good, right? Like, people had said these things, but that was never my experience with him. All our conversations were awesome. Everything was like our spirits knew, but nothing made sense. And so,
So she got the call and she was stoked, but then
what?
I'm like, what's up? She's like, yeah, I live in Bremerton. I'm like, this is insane. Like, Washington, you live there right now? Yeah. What did I say?
He's like, okay, I'm coming to see you. And I'm like, wait, what?
I mean, just like, that was such a no-brainer.
Guys,
first of all, I was getting butterflies talking to her. And I'm like, oh, I'm coming to see you. That's all. That's what's up. I think immediately my spirit knew that I got to go get my woman.
And let me tell you guys, I was mortified because the last time he saw me, first of all, when I was 134 pounds to 136 pounds, that was like abnormal. Like, I'd never weighed that little since
she was
I was
born.
like 12.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. Like, I was going through a really gnarly breakup and I was comparing myself.
So now
and super depressed. So
160.
So now it was like 170. You guys. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to come see me. I'm like, I can't even lose that much weight, like, in the amount of time before he gets here. Like, what am I going to do? This is mortifying. I was like super scared.
How long did it take me to get up there? A couple weeks, a month?
No, it took maybe a month and a half or something. You went to like New York or something and you did like your skiing thing. You're like,
oh, was that
whatever
that time?
The Olympics. You did that before you came.
Okay. And I just didn't ski. What I did was I worked with the Armenian bobsled team, secured funding or tried to secure funding and secured sponsorships and stuff like that. So went to Lake Placid and experienced that whole thing.
So he was doing that and then you came to see me. But I was like so scared, you guys. I'm like, oh no.
Let's just fast forward.
Since I've been 134, I think you had probably seen me at like 145, 150 actually. Probably right before you left. Okay. But even still, you guys, that's still like an extra 25 pounds.
So I'm like, okay, I'm coming to see you.
Oh, snap. And I was literally freaking my brains out. Like, holy, he's in a
So I pull up to the car, and I'm just excited. I'm just super excited. I'm just super excited. And to me, she never looked Tongan, ever, from what I remember. So she comes out of the house. I'm like, oh, my gosh, this is so crazy. She comes out of the house. I'm like, oh, my gosh, she's Tongan. She looked Tongan for the first time. And then she's coming to her. I'm like, oh, my gosh. And then she turned sideways, and she had a big old booty. And I'm like, she has a butt?
When you guys, when you lose
she had a booty. I was like, she had jeans on, like this hoodie, blue hoodie. And I'm like, dude, she's got a booty on top. I mean, she's not just like this little thin girl. I'm like, oh, and what happened when I hugged you?
Well, and you guys, to the ladies out there, it is important that
the stupidest thing she ever said to me actually was like, to get taller.
Did you get taller? Because I was wearing heels when we went out.
So
to the ladies out there,
6'3".
It's really important that you marry someone who loves your body type, because if he doesn't, then there's always this constant struggle and battle of feeling like you're not enough. What I didn't know, you guys, this is so awesome for me. My husband loves thick women. What? I didn't realize that because I was thin before. And so he was just like, what?
Thinner than thin.
Hot, thick mama. And so the fact that he loved, I'm like, oh, so it was really good for me that he happened to love thick women because I just got thicker.
And so, did we hug at that point in time? Oh my
yes,
gosh,
totally. We hugged. It was super awesome. Super
just so you know,
it was crazy.
Of all the experiences in my life ever, I've never felt before or after any feeling like that ever of reconnection. Ever, not even close. I had children when we had children, totally different. Everything's different, but the butterflies I felt and just the overwhelming feeling of just love and was so amazing. And then we went to this park and went for a walk and I was like, dude.
I think he held my hand.
Yeah, what's up?
What's happening? I'm like, so guys, again, right? I am this young single mom.
And she still has connection with her ex.
Yeah, totally.
He's trying. I mean, she's like, should I just what is he this whole thing?
I just didn't. There was so much confusion. In
Meanwhile,
my brain.
me, I was just raging.
Talking occasionally, but it wasn't that much.
I was just raging.
I don't understand. And I. Really,
and there was I was never going to get married again. I had been married once before. We kind of skipped that, but I got married when I was 20 to 24 and a half.
And he never wanted to be with someone who had kids.
Yeah.
So he had a bunch of his own things that was he actually, what he said was, I will never be with someone who has children. Well, la 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 la. Anyways, so I say we courted for 9 months, which was talked every single day, 5 times a day.
That's me calling her every single day, 5 times a day.
My dad taught me that if a man cares, he'll call you. So you
whatever. I told her. I remember. I was just like, I'm done. I'm not calling you anymore. You got to call me. And then she called me, and then I started calling her again.
He called me. So we would talk all night, the whole crazy thing. But my husband had serious issues with commitment, And he's honest, so he wanted to be honest about it. So I knew that he was had other women. And it was this weird thing. I'm
Friends.
What the flip? Because I was used to, first of all, men not being so honest about that. And then... But I didn't know what was worse, that they're doing it anyways, but they don't tell you, or that...
Would you rather me lied?
I would have rathered him just, be committed.
Of course, you want the maximum, but since it wasn't that, would you rather just be I'm not doing anything with anyone, and just be like...
It was actually a really awesome experience, because we learned and grew a lot. So he's like, okay, so... And I don't know. He just...
Quiet down.
Oh, my gosh, I'm sorry. He would be like, okay, I'm going to be committed to you till the next time I see you.
No. Or I'd be like, look, I'm committed to you until Friday night. 100%. 100% committed till Friday. Or I'm like, you know what? I got you for 2 weeks.
That is really nerve-wracking. So we did that for 9 months.
I had to just...
But guys, so I understood, right? He'd been a bachelor for 10 years. He had girlfriends, but he wasn't.
Not really. Kind of, but yeah, whatever.
It wasn't
couple of them
commitments. It wasn't like he was like.
Well, I didn't cheat on him or anything, but I just took some time out and kind of was stable.
Actually, because you were committed to them for those times. Anyways, who cares?
Yeah.
Anyways, I think in his brain he was like, I'm going to be with this woman forever. So
Oh, yeah. Well,
it's
there's no
hard for
screwing
him. It
around.
was hard for him to let go of other women, right?
Let's just cut to the chase. I'm like, all right, this is it. I'm totally going to commit to you. Totally going to commit. I think this is it and everything.
Okay, so first of all, yeah, super awesome. So he would tell me, we worked on it. Then he's like, I'm going to be committed to you. Oh, no. He says, oh, so I know that I want to marry you or something.
Yeah, I know I want to be with you
Oh,
forever.
wait. No, first you met my kids. First you met the kids. This was after you met the kids.
Well, of course. But yeah, I met the kids. I came to the airport. I'm like, she's like, well, we love each other now, but I got to make sure my kids love you.
So you guys, I waited 9 months to introduce the kids. I think they had been around at the beginning when we were just friends, but then it was like when we were dating, like our courting thing, I did not involve the kids with us because I had a boyfriend before, and when we broke and my kids were involved, and when we broke up, it was hard on them, and it just broke my heart, and it was like, it's not their fault that I haven't found a father for them yet. So I'm not going to bring in different men until I find the one who's the one. And so with him, I was like, okay, no, I'm not involving them until we
And I totally
we
understood.
get
I didn't want that.
without children.
So we knew that.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, now, if the kids like you, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I'm like, if
Anyway.
the kids like you, that's
it's a
the deal
no-brainer.
breaker because I had them first.
There's
they
no
get to
yep.
choose.
There's no problem.
So I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys get to choose your dad. So they met, and I was most nervous about my son, our son, because he was like 3 at the time.
And let me tell you,
He was a
actually,
super mama's
this
boy.
is the first time we're ever going public with this, really. I mean, people know and stuff. But those children were born to be my children. I wholeheartedly believe that the universe put those children on this earth to be my kids. That's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
Never thought I could love them like
You do.
my own, but they are my own. They
he
do,
does.
beyond belief.
Yeah.
Beyond belief.
I think it's crazy. In fact, he doesn't even necessarily typically like people to know because he doesn't ever want there to be a weird thing.
Yeah.
We're telling you.
Yeah, like that they're not my children.
Yeah.
Because they look like me. They're all the whole thing. So.
Yeah. They're totally.
But it's all good.
Yeah. So.
Totally in love with them, love them.
That was it. They.
No, Kai called me.
He called
I
him
think
Dad.
that same afternoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
The same. So we spent a weekend together.
I put him on my shoulders. We're walking through at Sherry's
To Peach's house, yeah.
house. And then he's like, "Oh, Dad," and I'm like, "Oh man, what's
And
up?"
it was just so beautiful. My husband's amazing with children. He played. They loved him. So there was this. We had this love connection. Now they had this love connection. So then we knew. Oh my gosh, that's it.
Yeah, it's on.
It's on. We're getting married. It's flipping awesome. Finally found the love of my life. This is awesome.
Except.
So then you guys.
Except.
Here's the catcher.
I mean, look. You know what I mean?
This is him. This is my awesome, very honest husband. He goes, so he leaves from that trip, right? I go back home.
I was still living in California.
Because we met at his mom's house at the time. He goes back down to California. I go home. We're kind of figuring, okay, what are we going to do now, right? Do you move down here? Do I move up there? Like,
Obviously,
what do we do?
she moves down. But anyway.
And then he goes, okay.
Everything's cool.
Look,
It's totally going to be good. 100% you for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
I just got.
He's like, I just got 2 women left in me.
I just got 2 women left in me. That's it.
What are you flipping talking about?
And I said, look, I'm just trying to be honest. I think I tried to work this out and everything. I think 2 more women and I'll be done.
It's like, I'm going to I love you. I'm going to be with you forever. Like,
Ever.
We know
Totally.
We're
We're
gonna get
married. It's on.
So
forever.
I'm not going to be with another woman forever. I just have 2 women left in me. And I was like, you guys, so I was at a
So
place
before
in
this,
my life-
she never, made demands. She just dealt with it and accepted what our relationship was, which was she knew quite possibly that I was with other women while we were together.
No,
not
knew
together.
He was.
While we were courting.
Before we were committed, we were courting for that.
Because
9
anytime
months
I'd say
before
I'm
he met
committed
the
to you
kids.
for a week or 2, I wouldn't be with anyone. So
Oh my gosh. So
I had 2 more women in me.
knew that he had, right? So now though, you guys, we decided we're committed, right? We decided we're committed. We decided we're going to get married.
Except the 2 women. I got 2 women in me.
Actually, was this before you met the kids or after you met the kids?
I think this is after.
Okay.
Regardless,
And
I had
so
2
we're
more
totally
women in me.
like, I love you. And he's like, I got
What's
2
up?
more women in me. And I'm just like.
And that's how it is.
And so this was the deal. I knew that whatever decision had to be his. I didn't want to have any influence.
That's a lie. She influenced me.
I wanted it to be his. So what I said
She
was.
influenced me. She 100%
said,
influenced me.
I didn't freak out at all.
She's like, let me just tell you, okay, if you can do that, whatever you want to do, but just know that I might not be here when you're ready.
Yeah, I might not be here when you're done with those 2 women.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh my,
you're
just so you know, you guys,
fine."
he was trying to convince me that no, you're totally.
I
fine.
wanted her to say, yeah,
totally
you're right, I'm
there.
fine. Just, okay, tell me when you're ready.
But you know what? This was me. I had to be honest. I could not promise I was going to be there after those 2 women.
She would have been there.
Who knows?
Didn't take that chance, so no way.
I would not have been there. Absolutely not.
She absolutely would have been there.
That was the line drawn in the sand.
No, it wasn't. She would have been there.
I couldn't tell him that was the line because then it wouldn't be his choice, right? And I could never, ever have him ever come back and say, well, you made me, blah, blah,
She
blah.
made me.
And
She
so
made me.
I just said, hey, you got to do what you got to do.
But I got to do what I got to do.
Yeah, I got to do what I got to do. I just can't promise I'll be here when you're done. And no big deal. You just figure it out. And so I left it. I put all in his court. You figure it out. And for 2 weeks, my friends, he would be like, oh, Booty Call just called me. I told her no. Oh my gosh, it's so amazing. I told her no. And I remember just being on the phone like, dude, can you just shut up, please? And I didn't say that, but I'd be like, oh, that's amazing. Congratulations. But my heart was like dying. Like, are you serious?
So was mine. I'm turning down booty calls. Dude, I just happened to
Who does that? Who calls people and tells people this? So it was super heart-wrenching.
All right, you call her drunk.
Sometimes
I'd call her super bus. After a club, I'm like, I got out of the club. These women, I didn't do anything. I'm out. I'm home.
And I'd be like, good job. High five. I remember just hanging up the phone. Sometimes I would just cry.
Or I'm being tested.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
I'm being tested tonight, right now. 100% I'm being tested. Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Or like, oh,
the work was hard on my end.
This hot chick, she just totally wants me. She wanted me. And she was like, and I was just like, no. I walked away. And I remember just thinking,
what's up?
Good job. But what
all
do you want?
two guys out there
award?
watching, you know what's up.
We want a freaking award? Oh
I did want an award.
And
And my reward was you.
Yes.
I didn't have those two women. I didn't do it.
He called me
Wasn't even worth it.
He called me one day. I
Worth the
think actually
risk.
you talked to BJ about it.
Well, I talked to Milan. I talked to BJ. I talked to Casey. And actually, you know what the consensus was? You never get over it. You don't. You don't get it out of your system. You don't get over it. All I did was I moved on. So it's not like I want these two women anymore. It's not like I wanted them after. It's like, okay, that's something I did. Now I'm here. I'm moving on to a better place in my life. But it's not an over thing. And so once I heard all those things, I'm like...
Because it wasn't going to be over even after he did it.
Yeah. There wasn't like, oh, once I get those two, I will be absolutely satisfied with every,
Yeah.
It's move on.
Yeah. And so for those of you who had a hand in that, thank you. If you ever listen to this, thank you for your words of wisdom to my husband.
And for all you booty calls that I turned down, I apologize, but this was the reward, so I don't apologize. Saboom.
So anyways, we worked through that. He never did that. And it was super awesome. I would just remember him calling me one day. He's like, I'm done. And I'm like, what? He's like, I'm done. I don't need anyone else ever. All I need is you.
That's sad.
And my heart was like such a relief because there was all this agony. Like, oh my gosh, what if he does it? Like, what is it going to feel like? Like, what am I going to have to do? I'm going to have to say, okay, yeah, tough luck. Like, never call me again. Yeah, like through this whole.
She would have said, okay, I'm mad, but come on, let's do this.
No, I'm like, okay, thank you. And
yeah, I'm mad, let's do this.
Your call again.
And she'll answer whenever I call.
No. So we made it through that, you guys. Here we are, 12 years later. He actually asked my dad for permission to marry me. It was super awesome.
Wait, we just had our 12th anniversary?
Yep, we just had our 12th anniversary, June 8th.
June 8th, yeah.
And here we have these amazing 5 children. And I feel so fortunate, lucky, and blessed. And we're on this awesome journey now, sharing personal essential oil stories with all of you.
And that's almost an hour. So thanks for joining us. So let's just go.
Yeah, we'll tell briefly.
Super briefly. So 7 years ago, about she tells me, oh, my friend invited me to a party. And I'm thinking, Pampered Chef, Cutco, Tupperware, whatever. Don't do it.
And just so you guys know, my experience with going to parties like that wasn't very big. Like maybe I'd been to 2 in my whole life.
And I've been involved in multi-level marketing, so I knew better. Yeah. And so I'm like, just don't buy anything cool. Don't buy anything. She's like, well.
Well, and I'm like, hello, you go to your friend's party to support her. So, of course, you have to at least buy one thing. That's
scrap. No, you don't.
Yes, you do.
You don't.
You're supporting your friend.
You don't.
Typically.
Well, you know what? In the end, she didn't buy one thing. How about that?
I bought a lot of things.
Hold on. So she comes back. Oh, my gosh. This is the best thing. Did you even have samples? You didn't have samples. How's that?
No,
you should have gone with samples.
I did have a gnarly headache there, so I put some oils on while I was there. It actually didn't
This
even
is the
help,
best.
actually.
I'm going to be the healer of the home. Oh, and we're all like, super healthy family. Yeah. All like no gluten, no dairy, no sugar.
We'd already been doing that
we had our
4 years.
garden. It was all nuts. But then she's like, I'm going to be the healer of the home. These oils are amazing. Yeah, whatever, snake oils. Snake, totally. Yeah, tripping out. And she's like, no, I got to get these oils. No, I'm not buying anything. Hammering days,
For a
days.
week.
And then she's like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. A couple days later, yeah, go ahead. $25 oils, $30. She's like,
a little bit more than that.
I'm like, look, get them all. Get every oil. How about $50?
And I'm like, he doesn't get it.
Obviously I didn't get it.
Did not get it. I'm like, you can get like one oil for those prices. Like, what are you talking about?
It's a problem.
And the
It's a
membership
problem.
is $35. Like, what are you talking about? And so I was like, listen, these oils do amazing things.
Great. $52.
And imagine if, and we didn't have health insurance. And I'm like, this is our health care.
Whatever.
This is when our kids have ear
Whatever.
issues, if high temperatures, if we have, like, we will have
She wasn't quite
tools
explaining it like that.
at our
She's like, they're a little
fingertips.
more. I'm like, what? She's like, more like, well, the kit itself is like 550. I'm like, what? Trip. That's not even funny. Is this a
And I
big
was
joke?
like,
Am I
listen,
getting
it's not even
punked?
the biggest kit, okay? I'm like,
Oh,
I'm
that
not
makes
even
a
asking for the
difference.
biggest kit. I'm just asking for the natural solutions kit. It's $550, probably more like $600
Long story
at the
short,
door.
Happy
Come on
wife,
now.
happy wife, happy life, insane husband. Go ahead,
And
honey.
the truth is, in our relationship, we just kind of have like an unspoken rule that's
Whatever
if
she
you're
wants, she gets.
spending a
Whatever
lot
she
of
wants, she gets.
money,
Whatever she wants,
like
she gets.
hundreds of dollars.
No, that's
we
she threw that
touch
out the window a
base
long
with
time
each
ago.
other
She threw it out the
before
window a
we
long time
actually do
ago.
it, which is why I
And
was
so,
asking him for
I can
permission.
just buy whatever I want. So, yep, go ahead, honey. Go ahead. And then she bought the thing. And actually, was one of the single best purchases, perhaps the best purchase ever.
Totally.
And the best introduction to any type of
Natural.
legitimate natural healing involved in our lives. And it now gives us the first, second, and third line of defense and offense for things that we would normally want antibiotics for and want, all these different things. Go ahead. You can have one. Daddy
Have a
says.
peach. Shut the door. Stop bugging.
Do you want to say hi?
Those are kids.
Do you want to say hi?
No, just goodbye. We'll say hi
Okay,
a different
goodbye.
day. You're in lots of our podcasts. Go
Yeah,
have
go get a peach.
Go have a peach. Go have a peach. Go have a peach.
This
is called
Yep,
real
give him
life.
a peach. Give
real
him half a
time,
peach.
my
Half a
friends.
peach. So,
And you guys, so this is the deal, right? We were already doing all these things trying to be preventative. And
Now
what
imagine we
happened-
add these
Oh my
oils.
gosh. I just felt like I'd like won the lottery. Like I felt like I'd hit the jackpot. I felt like
let's wrap this up.
finally
So, I'm
we
going to
had
the restroom.
tools to use
Going to
for
the
when
restroom.
things came up. It was amazing.
So I bashed my arm. I was training, all the time.
Because he was still calling them snake oils, saying that they don't work.
Somehow I got some sort of bash on my arm. She's like, "Oh, put this supposed to help, but you're supposed to put it on
Past
right when it
tense.
happens." And so I put this stuff called past tense.
Didn't
The
help
scent
him.
wasn't the best in the world. It wasn't the best. It was kind of a little bit shocking. I love it now. Okay, is that good enough for you?
Totally. Good job.
Yeah, great. And so didn't really work. Kind of a dull pain. I think the next day I'm on my way to the restroom in a little bit of a hurry. I cut the corner, kicked my right pinky toe off my foot. It's literally, it's
Not
not bleeding,
literally,
but it's
but it
like
felt
bashed,
like it.
felt broken, it's destroyed. I've done this my whole life. It's one of those things you just, kick my toes again. Great. So
In the fetal position on the ground,
the
crying.
pain was excruciating. If you've ever kicked your toe, have you ever kicked your toe?
I'm not. I guess I
And
have.
she doesn't know. I
but
kicked my toe off.
I have, but I am not like a gnarly. Like I have better eye
Here we
and
go.
feet coordination, so it's not often that I like kick things.
You know what it is?
It's on
I often
purpose.
feel like Hulk and feel like I can kick things off. So anyway, my toes, I'm just in excruciating pain, but in that first second, I'm like, get the past tense. And she comes running and just hits me with the past tense. And here's the thing, because there was so much pain, when she touched the past tense roller to my toe, the sheer pain from that was so sharp. Sharp, gone.
Yeah.
Like that fast. Sharp, gone.
I wish I'd videoed that, you guys, because the look on his face when the pain went away is like,
No way.
what?
Yeah, no way.
What?
So anyway, the pain was gone.
And I was
Now that's
like,
just my experience.
"You're welcome.
We're not making any type of claims,
La,
but
la,
that
la,
past
la,
tense
la, la, la.
removed pain. And we've
You're
had
welcome.
hundreds of instances where our kids got bashed, my
my
wife
gosh.
got bashed. Like
We
anyway,
have so many stories, like it's out of control. And I'm sure, I don't know, I'm sure at some point, like our daughter wants to come on and share some of her stories. So we will share more of our stories throughout this, but really this is about, we want to get other people's stories out into the world, or it's not really about us. But we will, share, but there's so many stories, you guys. It's
can you
just
tell them
flipping
one
amazing.
story about yourself? That's insane. You don't even have one story. I don't even have one story for you personally. Okay, so let's talk about the bashed thumb.
Okay, yeah. So I broke my finger got it stuck
I like
in the
bashed
dog's.
thumb.
Okay,
I
we'll
might be
talk
able
about
to
the
find a
bashed thumb.
picture of the
Okay,
bashed
okay.
thumb.
So my bashed thumb, I was getting out of the car to go to New Leaf, and I don't know if you've ever done this before, my friends, but I slammed my thumb in the door somehow, some weird way, and I'm walking away from the door, and I get pulled back because my thumb is still stuck in the door. And I'm like, what the flip? Open the door, and I'm like, oh. And it's like that, it didn't even hurt. It was like numbed.
At first.
It was, not at first. And I'm like,
Bleeding.
holy smokes, just full bleeding, full bashed. Like I lost my nail, totally cut through. Like it was
What'd you do for the pain
terrible.
as the pain started coming on?
Because you guys, I carry my oils with me everywhere. And just, we use oils every single day in this house.
Every day, all day.
That's right. And so I put past tense on and helichrysum immediately. And I was just like dripping it on, rolling it on. Like every 5
Did it manage the pain?
seconds. Totally managed the pain, my friends. So this is the deal. So what happened? I put it on, and 5 seconds later, it hurt again. So I just put it on again. 5 seconds later, it hurt again. Put it on again.
And that got longer and longer, the distance between her applying it.
Needing to apply. But this is the beauty about essential oils. You apply them as needed. That's it.
Awesome. We're not making any claims.
Not making any claims.
She's going down the road of making claims. I know her.
Needed. All right? If something hurts, you put it on, the pain goes away. If it hurts 2 seconds later, apply again. Why not? Because what's happening is the oils are going in, they're actually helping to fix the problem. And then as time goes on, you put it in less. So at first it was every 5 seconds, every 10 seconds. And that would took like, I think the next day, maybe I was doing it every 2 minutes or something. And then the next day, maybe every 5 minutes. But it eventually went to every few hours to not at all. And I didn't, at first it took probably a year. My nail grew back a couple times. Weird. Now my nails are totally fine. And you would actually not ever even know it happened. So that's pretty awesome.
So anyways, we have a number of stories.
Totally.
We'll get into those through other podcasts and other times. But what we're trying to do is focus on other people's experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope you enjoyed it. That's a little bit about us, or a lot about us.
Yeah.
My goodness.
So the whole point of this, you guys, we just want to create a connection, right? We want to be relatable. We were vulnerable here. We shared our life, our past.
Yeah, I'm vulnerable.
Here we are, our imperfections, and we're not perfect people. And
Speak for yourself.
I'm not a perfect person, but we have a lot of love in our hearts, and it really matters, and we really care, and we really want to share so that your life can be better. Another thing that we offer when people are guests on our podcast, we offer that they share their personal business link with us.
Because you might connect. You might actually resonate. They might resonate with you. You might be able to connect with them some way. And we're going to hopefully, all the people on our podcast, some, have their thing going, but we'll be able to provide a link that you'll be able to contact them some way and hopefully get answers and be able to, communicate with them. If you do have any questions about oils, we're always here.
Yeah.
You can direct message us.
Because we do totally do this as a business for sure. But what we understand, you guys, there is billions of people. And
billions
you
and
this world
billions
is such
of people.
A happier ride when you are with people that you resonate with.
For sure.
So if you resonate with us, click the link below, and we would love to help you get started.
Now, what I'd like you to do actually is
forward
this or share this with 2 of your friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's all, just 2. Because there's a potential. There's going to be another one released too. And so check that out. But the experiences and the information that we're going to hopefully be providing with these experiences will help some people out there. And that's the key.
Guys, we have learned so much. So we've filmed 20 so far.
Yeah.
Which we'll start releasing. And then we'll be filming more. But you guys, the stories are incredible. And I am an oil queen. I use them all of the time for everything from emotional to physical.
So thanks for joining us.
All of it. And I'm learning something every single podcast. So even if you are also an essential oil queen or king,
you're always going to learn.
You're going to learn stuff. It's amazing. So, and you guys, you can share the personal podcast. Like when you hear something and you're like, oh my gosh, I have a friend who this would totally benefit.
Yeah, totally.
Share that episode with her so she can benefit, or with him so he can benefit.
Because not only do they tell you what oils work, they tell you their protocol. And it's pretty cool because I've learned tons of stuff.
I know. He's actually using oils even more than he was before since we've been doing this. It's been amazing. So
Thanks
this is our
joining.
story. We love you. We're so grateful to have you here and be a part of that. You're joining and being a part of our community, and that this is, you guys, there's enough to go around for everybody.
Absolutely.
It's just so important to not come from a place of what is that called when you want to hoard everything to yourself? a scarcity. Don't come
scarcity.
from a place of scarcity. Like scarcity, open up your heart and just be filled with
Anytime I think of
abundance.
scarcity, I think of scarecrow. Thank you for joining
Share.
us.
Share.
Share, like, subscribe,
Share, my friends.
and please have a wonderful day.
Message
and
us
if you have,
a story.
if you have a story, let us know.
Yeah.
Because we're more than welcome to have you on. We're booking up. I mean, we're so
are
booked up,
gnarly
but all that means is that we might just be adding more days. Thank you for joining us.
Really quick. And it doesn't matter. You don't have to be doing the business to share your story.
You don't have to only be
using
using doTERRA.
doTERRA to share your story. Like you just need to have an essential oil experience
Thank you for
to share. So that is the requirement. And to send us your business
Don't
link,
touch-
it doesn't have to.
that's all
Sorry,
bad,
it
all
doesn't
bad.
have to
Don't
be
touch,
your
don't touch.
doTERRA business link.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, it could be whatever your
This is
business
her.
is. We had an awesome lady on here.
not
and
gonna
she
touch it.
writes grants. She writes.
Thank you
What
for.
is it
You'll
called?
see.
Hold on,
You'll
really
see.
fast, really fast.
You'll
Stop,
see.
stop. What is it
Grants.
called? Yeah, she writes grants for people. That's her business. And so she posted her link so that when you are like, oh my gosh, I've been looking for someone to write.
I'm going to take a
Wait, it's
nap.
a grant for
Tell me
what?
when you're done. Thank you for joining us.
Can
You'll
you just
find
help
out
me
later.
finish?
Nope,
Help
I
me
can't.
finish.
I can't. Thank you for joining us.
You guys, you've
like,
been on
share,
here long
subscribe.
enough. You're totally fine to wait for
I'm gonna
one more minute.
cut it off.
It's a type of
Thank-
grant, you guys.
Like, share, subscribe. I hope you
Yeah,
enjoyed
and
it.
you can help me. Help
I don't
me.
know. I don't
Yes.
know.
Free. When you have free business, when you have, what is it called?
Disneyland.
No, love. I need you to
I'm
help
going to
me.
Disneyland.
No, when you have an organization that's nonprofit.
Nonprofit.
She does nonprofit grants. So when
Thank
you
you for
have a
joining
nonprofit
us. Oh
organization,
my gosh,
you
it's not
can
about
reach
that.
out to her. It's so
Thank
awesome
you.
and amazing. We're people
Like, share,
connectors.
subscribe.
We love you. We appreciate you. Like, share,
Oh my gosh. Have a wonderful day.
Have an amazing
Like, share,
day.
subscribe. Remain unaltered.
Thank you, my friends. for remaining altar.
Shoots.
Shoots.
Unbelievable.